Hi, so I just got back from traveling a very long way across the country to get back to school, and I'd like to share my experience because flying standby is bullshit. Of course, I can't imagine you want to hear it from my greasy, travel-worn self, so give me a sec. And I'm back. Oh, I feel so much better. But anyway, so, standby travel. The shitstorm that it is. Not everyone who flies standby is going to have my experiences, but on average it takes me about 12 hours to get from point A to point B, which is usually Chicago to LA. It's a 3 to 4 hour flight, and the quickest possible I've ever gotten home was 10 hours. So let's go over what I had to do to get home just on this specific one, which, for the record, was actually relatively quick. 1 hour on the metro, 2 hours in the airport, 4-hour flight, 2 hours digging around in the airport because they didn't have my luggage, and then the shuttle took over an hour to show up. And then 4 hours on the shuttle. 4. You know how long that drive normally takes? An hour and a half. I got on the LA highway at 5 o'clock in rush hour traffic on a Friday. But here's the thing. All of that I could handle if I was totally certain that it was going to happen just like that every time. But I'm not, because I fly standby. Let me tell you some shit about standby flying. So for those of you who don't know what standby flying is, it means that if there are open seats on a plane because they either weren't sold or the people who bought those seats didn't show up, you can be put on a list to get those seats when they're open. I'm able to do it because my dad works for the airline, so I can only fly standby for that specific airline. You get ranked on the standby list by seniority, and so as I'm not the employee, I'm the employee's child, I'm usually pretty far down the list. You can check the flight beforehand to see how many seats are open, who's checked in and who hasn't. And you see, usually the odds look pretty good up until about 20 minutes before the flight, when everyone suddenly decides to check in and you go from being 4th on the list with 20 open seats to 9th on the list with none. And here's the thing, the paying passengers who bought a ticket and then weren't able to get on that flight because they oversold it, then are put on standby too. And of course they're at the head of the line, which makes sense, but that adds even more people in front of me taking away my spot to get home. And I have school the next morning, and I'm not getting out until 2 in the morning, and then I have to have the 4-hour shuttle ride home. Oh, but so all in all, despite how much I complain, it is awesome. I can travel as much as I want for free until I'm 26, as long as my dad is still working there. And it's great. That being said, standby is also what they do to you in hell. You're in a constant state of limbo, wondering whether or not you're going to get on this flight, usually completely exhausted because you weren't able to get on the last 6. And then when you finally get on the plane, without a doubt, you are going to be in front of the screaming baby or the puking child. Like, standby wouldn't be that bad if airlines and other passengers hadn't decided to completely fuck everyone. The thing is, many of you ding-dongs out there buy a ticket for a flight, check in, you're ready to go, and then just don't show up for some reason or another. Admittedly, I'm okay with that because that heightens my chances of getting on a plane. Because of the capitalist market that is the airline industry, airlines have had to oversell more and more seats just to break even on every flight. Open seats are something the airline does not want. They want people who paid money to be in that seat in every single seat possible, so that hopefully even if a bunch of people don't show up, all of the seats will be full and they will be making as much money as they possibly can. However, that means that if everyone has their shit together and everyone gets to the flight, there's like 10 people who paid for a ticket, have a seat, and yet cannot get on the plane because there's literally no room. Like, I get human error is a thing, but also, what the fuck? Traveling is stressful enough without all this other crap just like sprinkled in on top of it. Literally, the worst thing you can hear as a standby flyer is running feet. It is because some yahoo knew what time their flight was, decided to get here 20 minutes before it took off. They start calling standbys at the last possible second because they want anyone who paid for it to get on the flight. People who show up to their flight 10 minutes before it's supposed to leave, sauntering up with a Starbucks like, oh, is this my gate? Are the scum of humanity. I don't care what your excuse is. If you're late for your plane and you are not running, then fuck you. And fuck your coffee drink. I don't care how grumpy you are when you don't have your caffeine. I can guarantee you that after 12 hours in the airport, I am much grumpier. Yeah, so if you show up late, or if you show up early, because it's a thing now, you can show up like 5 hours early to your flight and just get put on an earlier one. Which means that when I was like, alright, I'm gonna get on the 6 a.m. flight because nobody's gonna be on it, and then you got up 10 hours early and were like, yes, I'm gonna go on a different one than I scheduled, you're the worst. Especially people who show up as they're calling standbys at the last second and are like, oh, can I get on this plane? I'm on a later flight. No, you fucking can't. You cannot get on this flight because this is not your flight. You bought a ticket, you scheduled your life around a flight that you bought, and now you want on this one. Well, no. To that, I say no. Get it together. Stop it. Stop trying to take my spot on this flight. I just want to go home. Another thing. We were all there for 9/11. After 9/11, a whole fuck ton of security measures got put in. You have to take off your shoes, you have to take off your belts, no coats, no jackets, laptops in the bins. You can't even have a water bottle. But we all know this. And so, if you're that fucker who's going through security, taking off things one at a time, super casual, trying to go through the x-ray machine with your belt on and changing your pockets and your jacket on and your backpack on, like, oh, what? I didn't know I had to take any of this off. Just don't fly. Just don't fly. Just drive. You can keep all your shit on at all times when you're in a car. But yeah, I understand when you've got little kids, it's very hard to wrangle them. But I also understand that I have been flying since I was a fetus. And I, as little fetus Lily, knew to take off my shoes, not have anything in my pockets, and put all my shit on the x-ray machine. Also, at the end of the security, after you've waited in the long line and stripped down and had them x-ray all of your organs and deemed that you're not smuggling a bomb up your ass, then you get to finally collect your stuff, put it back on, and go. But you know what you're supposed to do? Grab your shit, move to one of the benches that they have nearby, put it on, return the little box, and then leave. Then continue on. What you are not supposed to do is stand there slowly with your 12 bins of shit, putting on articles one at a time, slowly making sure that everything's in order, right in the way, clogging up the line so that I can't get to my stuff and I just want to grab my backpack and get out of your way, and I want you and your kids to not be where you are at this moment, but you are. But when people are trying to wrestle their toddlers into a coat instead of just handing them the coat and saying, put on your coat over there. See that corner that's 6 feet away? Just put on your coat there and get out of the way of everyone who's trying to get their stuff done. Many of us have places we need to be, like our gate for the plane, which is the only reason we're here. So yeah, to sum up, if you dick around in the security line, if you dick around, get into your flight and show up 20 minutes late with a cup of coffee, if you decide to show up 8 hours early to your flight and then decide that you made a mistake and want to fix it now, then you can go get your own plane. So I'm glad I got that off my chest. Traveling really takes it out of me. I just needed to cleanse it out of my soul. Thank you for going on this journey with me. I know that it was just complete fuckery, but like, yeah, so give me a like, subscribe. I'll try to put out videos regularly. I'm gonna make a video compilation of lots of the footage I took over winter break. It's 99% food and museums, because that's all I care about, really. But yeah, so thanks for watching and stay golden.